Sairam, thank you, Swami, for this opportunity to share your love with everyone. Sairam, everyone. It's beautiful that we can get together for this auspicious day of Jesus's birth. When I think of Christmas, I think of Jesus. And it actually takes me back to the late 70s, where I was around 10 years old. And around Easter time, my parents and I decided to take a bus trip across the United States. And during this time, there was a television program that was being played for 6 days, a miniseries called Jesus of Nazareth. It was a TV drama on his life. And from the first day I started watching it, I was mesmerized. I felt this love coming through the person playing Jesus, the kind of love that I never imagined can exist. So every day I wanted to make sure that with my parents, that we would stop at a motel that would have a television and make sure that I could watch it. So by the time the movie was done, of course, Jesus was put on the cross and all of that, I was crying from tears, of course, for the suffering that Jesus went through, but more so that I was born 2,000 years too late, that I couldn't live in the presence and be with someone like that, a divine person. And I yearned not only to live with him, but that I could be like him, be the son of the Father. Now, little did I know that already on earth was just such a presence, and that presence is Sathya Sai Baba. And little did I know that 14 years later, I would end up not only being called and to be in his presence, but living in his presence for 5 years and serving his devotees. So, as I mentioned, I yearned to be like the Son of God. And the way I could reconcile who Sai Baba is and who Jesus is, that I thought, well, Swami is the Father. So I had within me that feeling, my relationship to him, is he's the Father and I'm his son. And guess what? When I would have an interview or Swami would come and visit the canteen where I was doing service, he would ask, where's my son? And call me his son. So I was all happy and everything, and it made me love him more and more. Now, in one interview, Swami asked me, who are you? And I said to Swami, I'm your son. Because Swami has been calling me his son. And he goes, no, no, no. You are my reflection. What does that mean? So some time went by and another interview came. And in that interview, Swami asked me again, who are you? And I said to Swami, I'm your reflection. And then Swami said, no, you and I are one. You are always wrong. What did Swami mean by all this? And I asked my question, and I asked it in the framework of the life story of Jesus. So this made me want to understand who Jesus really was. And so I spent quite some time reading everything that Swami had spoken about Jesus's life. I was able to get that from the Sanatana Sarati and so on. And lo and behold, what was shown is that what Swami says about Jesus is that he was a seeker when he first began, just like you and me. And first, he seeked for God in the world. And of course, the world is a kaleidoscope of changing things and is really a reflection of our imagination. And he found this out very quickly. So what did he do? He turned within. And by turning within, he began to feel that he was separate from God and considered himself a messenger of God. And he saw the suffering in the world, and he began to do service and also to inquire, who am I? And who is this I that I am? And what he found was the next step was that the I that he feels he is a reflection of his father. And remember, what did Swami tell me in my interview? I am your reflection. So this relationship with the Father and the love and grace from the Father kindled the love so much and purified so much that eventually Jesus realized fully, and body consciousness left him, that he and the Father are one. And that's how he says, if you see the Son, you see the Father. So Swami's teachings and Jesus's teachings were the same to me. And Swami says that Jesus, a lover of God, is a messenger of God. The one whom God loves is the Son of God. When one experiences both of these, he becomes one with God. Father and Son is one. So after realizing this and finishing my studies on this, I remember the day I put together sort of my own document on this of all my findings, and I put it on the altar, and I understood now what Swami told me in my interview room, that the progress of the spiritual devotee is the same for myself, is just like I want to be the Son. You take those steps. So that night, when I went to bed, I had a very powerful dream. And just to remind you that dreams, especially these very powerful spiritual dreams, are very private. They most of the time they are meant for us directly. However, I thought this was appropriate to share with you on this auspicious time. So in this dream, the dream started out that I'm in this wonderful place. It's like the Himalayas in this valley, and the colors were so vivid. There were colors that I don't see in this world here. Everything was vivid, the feelings, the flowers, and everything. And I noticed that I'm running. And I look down and I'm running, and I suddenly feel that not only am I running fast, but someone is running next to me. And who is running next to me? I look over, and my gosh, it's Jesus. Jesus is running next to me, and we're running together. And then my next big surprise is I look down and I see that not only are we running, but we are running on water. Isn't in the story of the Jesus to walk on water? Well, here we're running together. And I was, of course, in bliss and in such happiness. And I felt this incredible brotherly love from Jesus. It wasn't this love that I'm greater than you, or it was, we are brothers together in God. And we are brothers one. Now, eventually we were running actually on a lake, a crystal clear lake, and we ran all the way across and eventually ended up on a path and slowed down, no longer running. And in front of us was a church. And we walked into the church, and there was a service being held, like a mass. And they were singing and speaking in a language that wasn't English. However, I felt the meaning of it. And they were basically reciting the story of Jesus, his birth and his life. And both Jesus and I were in the back, and no one noticed that we were there, as if we were invisible. And the service finally got to such a crescendo that it was actually about Jesus going on the cross. And when that part came, Jesus next to me floated up and ended up going up onto the cross. And again, they couldn't see him, but they felt the powerful presence that Jesus is with us. I could see him, and he's on the cross, and the nails go into his hands, And he goes through that whole thing, and I feel that suffering, but not the suffering in the sense of he was beyond that. He, even though his body was suffering, he was full of love and compassion for everybody. He was doing it for everyone. And finally, that crescendo came to the next stage, which was that the Father needed to be revealed to everyone. And when that was being sung, Jesus looked down at me and asked and hinted that I need to do this. And I started to float up, and above him was a portico, and the portico had um, a purple veil in front of it, and there was golden beams of light coming off the edge of this portico. And finally, and Jesus was looking up at me and hints that I need to open the veil. And the music finally ended up with the revelation of the Father. And so I opened the veil, and this light poured into me, which was more than light, the brightest of brightest lights. I forgot who I was, my consciousness, and I was in bliss. And I woke up from this dream, and I felt such thankfulness to Swami, thankfulness to Jesus for to fulfill my wish to be able to know who he is and who he was. And he is none other than ourselves, and an example of how we should live our lives. As Swami teaches us, we should hurt never and help ever, love all, serve all. That's what Jesus taught us. Now, to finish this, about 2 years ago, I was in New Mexico giving a speech, or not giving a speech, but there to give talks at a retreat. And we happened to go to a church in Santa Fe. When we went into this church, I got this incredible feeling, the same feeling that I had in my dream. And when we walked into the center of the church, there above was the same type of a cross, and above the cross was the same portico with the same purple veil, and the golden painted on next to it, the golden beams. And I just felt this incredible love and a deep feeling that this world that we live in is nothing but a reflection of his love for us, and reminding us that what happens here and happens in the spiritual realm is one the same, and all it is about love. So in these difficult times that we live in, just remember that we are here to hurt never, help ever, love all, and serve all. Jai Sai Ram. Thank you.